guests here, Raphael, Lola, and Josh.
I could be with this woman, I could be with that woman.
In the Bible, it was David. That was everything I wanted to be. You know what I mean? He was good with words.
They could have got HIV because of it, or or various kind of sexually transmitted diseases.
Wow. He died for these people. Do you know what I mean? You know?
It can bring these things to light,
Yeah.
but not in a way to condemn you. It's in a way to save you.
It's easy to go and be lustful. It's easy to go and do just to go and be bad or sexually active. So
I'm angry at the church.
Welcome to the first episode of a new show called Sound Words, the amazing platform where you speak about all the things you normally discuss on Twitter or on the bus, on the train, or wherever you may be. Wherever you discuss, banter, or chat, this is the place where we'll be discussing these things from now on. So get involved. Today we're going to be talking about the body count and people's mindsets of being able to sleep with X and X amount of people, what it means, or when it's too much or when it's too little. We'll be discussing that, and I'll be asking my guest today to talk about where this mindset comes from. Talk about, do we have the role models that the young people need today to really get involved and really live the right life? Get involved today. So this all started with one of our sisters in the Lord, and she came across some people at a bus stop, a group of girls talking about this thing called the body count. Does anybody know what the body count is? What is that? What is the body count? What do you guys think it is?
just from my understanding of body count is basically how many people you slept with. So yeah, that's how it is.
What they were saying, I think they were like school kids, like 15, 16-year-olds, and they were saying things like, you're allowed to have up to 10. Yeah, you're allowed to have up to 10. And after that, what happens is, when you get to 18, it resets. So it resets.
They push a button.
No, I think they mean that you're allowed to sleep with 10 different boys, and then after it resets, and then you're fine. I don't know where that comes from, like, Joshua. Where do you think that mindset, where do you think it comes from? Because from the point of view we're coming from, that's an interesting mindset to have.
I think this comes from just kind of, I think it's socially constructed in a sense that when you're young, obviously it's a sense of like not being too promiscuous in a sense, especially for females, for girls in a sense. So it's like, when it comes to a body count, you can't have too much or whatever. The part where at the age of 18, it's reset, I think that's more to do with once you get to an older age. Like I know once I reached the age of, I'm just saying for argument's sake, 18, people started to care less about what it was like. I think people were more judgmental from the ages of like 12 to 18 in a sense. When you're still in secondary school, you're still in that kind of young vibe in a sense. So when you go older, that's when you feel like, you're a big person, you're a senior person in a sense. So it doesn't matter as much who you kind of sleep with, and that's why they may think, it's reset. But I don't think reset should be the phrase. It's more like nobody cares or nobody really asks, but who knows.
So you think you get to a stage and nobody really cares how many people you've had, how many people you've been with? I
don't personally believe that, because I know like certain guys, even at the age of like 21 plus, they still kind of ask girls like, okay, like, what's your body count? Like, how many guys you've been with? People still don't actually care. But I think it gets to a stage where you're more kind of liberal and you're your own person then, so people don't. Now
you say that, I actually do remember that being part of Discord, like back in the day conversation. You're saying it gets to a stage where you say, okay, so how many?
And you try and ease it in without saying it in a.
And also sometimes you have to kind of like divide it by 4 or something. But a job where did this mindset come from?
I think it's also because I think you've got to look at things even socially. When you become 18, there's certain things that you can do law wise. I think things like uni, you can go to uni, a fresh approach, different people. There's a complete different kind of mindset. It's almost like there's a bigger world out there for you. There's a new world out there for you where you're legally allowed to do more things. You're in uni, you're allowed to do more things. You have a greater independence, as it were. So I think there's more. It's even just a case of, for one, I can do what I want now. I'm old enough. I'm quote unquote mature enough to kind of take on the fact that I can do whatever I want. I don't care what other people think of me to an extent, and also the fact of I can take a more liberal approach because I'm not under the influence maybe of my parents anymore. I'm not under the influence of some of the social constraints that I had in school and college. Now I'm in uni. I'm a big person, or I'm a freer person.
Past, it's just kind of gone with the past.
Gone with the past, or even in work. I'm in a working environment. I work with a 30-year-old and a 50-year-old in my working environment, so I can take on the same liberal approach that they take on without having maybe the responsibilities of a 30-year-old, for example. So I think a lot of that is part of the mindset, and I think that's one of the reasons why it comes across in that way.
Yeah, because and that makes sense, because I feel like as young Christians, I think it's interesting how we approach it. But when I was first talking about it with all of us, I was saying, so I was like, I don't understand how we approach this, because it's you can't be exclusive to it and say body count and say, well, we're not going to talk about body count because that is not a Christian thing to do. But then how do you deal with an issue with something that is rampant amongst young people? And we've been there, haven't we? Like, we're not talking from an exclusive point of view. Like, what are our experiences? Like, what are our experiences with this body count?
I kind of personally feel like the whole issue of body count, I didn't grow up with it, so it's a bit of an alien term to me. But I think going on to the whole body count thing and then resetting, I think it's more on rebranding. And some people just feel like, okay, just like he was saying, you go to university, you're in new pastures, so you're literally just rebranding. So the whole thing about resetting, I'm just thinking, wow, it's kind of a worldly way of saying that. It's kind of a worldly way of saying you're reborn again, if that makes sense. Because it's like, oh yeah.
It's a cop out then. Easy way to say.
Because it's just like you said, when you go to university, you might be from London, you go to a university in Birmingham, so you're just like, nobody knows me here, so I can rebrand. I can. If I was a hoe before, if I was a bit of a promiscuous person.
Yeah, there was a name for it.
If I was a bit of a promiscuous person, I'm now rebranded. So yeah, I think that's it though.
My kind of personal experience on this, I kind of grew up with the body count kind of thing, but I think I'm gonna kind of split it into kind of genders in a sense. I think for guys, it was more, you kind of need to get your body count up, like, okay, how many girls, how many girls are you kind of pressing or whatever, like how sexually active are you? And that was kind of a way to kind of brag in a sense. But obviously with girls, they didn't, and I'm not sure if this is the way it is now, but they still didn't want to seem like the kind of shy, timid people that weren't giving it up in a sense, if I were to say it loosely.
It's called frigid.
Frigid was the term, but also the
West side.
also the borderline of, as she rightly said, promiscuity. So like you didn't want to have too many people. So it was just, there was kind of like a limit to kind of where you could go. And from what I heard a lot of the time was like, if it was kind of 2 or 3, that seems okay, especially if that's your man or whatever. If they were both your man, then it's cool. You know what I mean? And that's what I think was an excuse that everybody kind of got away with.
I think one of the main things is like you said, it's interesting that you kind of brought on the idea of rebranding, because it's all perceptions. It's almost how you're perceived as a commodity. For example, the whole reason why I think body count was such a term that was used, or it's something that people kind of look to, is because how does it make you look? What is perceived from your body count? Like, just say for example, was it okay that for example, if a girl had slept with someone that was a one-night stand, but that was she lost her virginity, but then there was 6 people that, for example, were her boyfriend. Which one's worse, or
which one would you add to the body count? Which one would you add to
and which one would be deemed? And it's kind of like, if it was like, as me growing up, okay, a girl that had slept with maybe more than 5 people, it was seen as maybe it's a bit taboo, maybe she's a bit loose, maybe this, maybe that. And then I think someone that there's nothing to say that it distinguished any difference in her personality or her as a person, but it said something about her as a commodity.
now we've spoken about that mindset for people that are out there in the world now. What are our experiences? What have we been through in regards to this mindset?
Well, me personally, obviously, growing up, the way that I grew up, I think there was big kind of pressures to actually, not only to be like the cool. I was in a crowd that was probably deemed the cool crowd.
And you were MC, man. Come on.
All right.
You were MC.
Nah, I'm talking about even before kind of that. I mean, even like in secondary school and things like that. I was deemed like the cool crowd. Everybody knew me. It was like, oh, you can fight, or you're part. You play football. Like these things that were these things that gave you status at that point, and then it started moving into girls and how many girls like you, or maybe, or how many girls have you like if you fingered a girl, or if you got head off a girl, or if you've had sex with her. These things started to become like status. So it was like, especially for me, there was a pressure to be like, to maintain that, okay, yeah, you could fight, and then you can play football, and you was popular, and then it was like, oh yeah, you done these things as well, and then somebody does something before you, then there's a big pressure to be like, yeah, I need to be that type of person as well. And then and you want to. I think maybe for men and for boys and girls, men and women, it's different. I think as we're growing up, I think our aim is to like lose our virginity early, and do these things, and get
like a
tick list, and and get your body count up, as it were. And then obviously as I moved into college, and obviously I was doing music, and what came with that was almost like it was part of your image to be like, I get girls, and I do this and I do that.
You put it in your lyrics.
You put it in your lyrics, and especially within like grime and then rap and things like that. There's a culture behind, like I'm a show off. I can do this, I can do that. So it's like you're good, you get girls, you get money, you're complete, or you're bad, or you're all of these things that are attached to it. You kind of move into that realm where you start to do it, and you start to get engrossed in that, and you don't really care as much about maybe other people as well.
Yeah, I feel like because Messi and we have that, so we both can have that kind of similar story. And I remember in science sitting there and everyone talking about how much they had done, and I thought to myself, I have to go and do this. Like this needs to be done. I need to tick this off. Do you know what I mean? I need to tick it off. And obviously, and that led to other things. And cut a long story short, I was saying at 21, 22, and then I finally got saved. Within that window from 15 to 22, people have died. People have gone, things have happened, and like not everybody's gonna get that chance. And what do we say to that 15-year-old, 14, and it's getting lower nowadays, it's 12, 13, what do we say to those guys there? Like, how do they deal with that situation? How do you deal with that pressure?
From a like kind of Christian perspective, I strongly believe that you're kind of like a product of your environment in a sense. So it's kind of like your social kind of group, and it's been very apparent like in university, especially like when you see kind of like what you become because of who you're around. So obviously, as we said, like social pressures is real. It's massive in a sense that you could do a lot of things just because that's what everybody else is doing. That's what everyone's saying that you should be doing. So, and I know this is one of the hardest things to do, but getting out of the kind of big group or the big cool kind of status thing, and being able to surrounding yourself with people in the same struggle, same kind of path as you, and the same kind of facing the same problems would be, you kind of help and nurture one another. So I think the kind of society of people who are thinking the same, who are trying to go the same way, is what you need to kind of revolve yourself around, because it's not going to be easy. And we always say we're not of this world. We're in this world, but we're not of this world. So if we're not of this world, we kind of we make sure that we are with the people who are on the same wavelength.
But Josh, like, you're at uni now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how do you find that balance? Like, how do you stay focused? How do you stay underpinned by what you believe in, but still be cool? You want to go to university and be cool. You know what I mean? You don't be watching everybody going. You know what I mean? You want to be part of that. Like, How do you do that? Like, how is it possible from a young man's perspective?
In university at the moment, it's one of the hardest things possible. As you all rightfully said, it's like that's when you're independent. You have no mum and dad, especially coming from a Nigerian background. Like literally, you're free. You can do whatever you want, and university is a place to do it as well. You're all on campus. You're meeting new people. You can reinvent yourself in a sense. There's just so much temptation everywhere. But as I said, it's about kind of, and also to still be cool. You still want to kind of go around to all of these kind of events here and there, speak to all these people, and not seem like a different type of person. So you still need to. I think it's all about having that balance, being able to socially be like, yeah, I'm cool. You guys can talk to me. We can chill. We could play FIFA, bus band, or whatever. We could talk about girls. But when it comes to actually doing the deeds or whatever, I'm on a completely different wavelength. And I think what kind of helps. Like with me personally is like kind of like the church with the kind of Bible study, that a fellowship of guys within my university that we kind of sit around and speak about these problems. It's not just about girls, the topics that we kind of have about a range of things, but kind of having that kind of group again who are kind of on the same wavelength, same struggles, same problems, then that kind of helps with the deal. But it's not an easy task at all, I must say.
You spoke about that as well, like getting that child or whoever might be need to get out of that, whether they're young, get into a social group that's really going to help them.
I think that is definitely one of the main things that you can do. You know, there's a lot of things that speak about. There's a lot of books even that will tell you about, you know, the five people that you're around the most can shape your life, as it were, and little things like that. So, you need to kind of really kind of understand what your social groups are and try and really get around people that are like-minded, you know. And I think you have to be. It's going to take a lot of bravery as well. I mean, you have to be unashamed of you have to be unashamed of the gospel. You have to be unashamed of the fact that you know that you're different and you know the reason why. You know, I think if they're truly people that you need to be around, they may not understand it, but they'll respect what you're saying. You know, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's the easiest thing to do, and it's something that everybody should just it's gonna be a walk in the park to just say, oh, my friends are all on this, so I'm gonna be on something completely different to them. But it's hard. But you know, if you look into the Bible and you look at what Paul said that he went through, and he said he's been beaten, he was chastised, he was imprisoned, he nearly got killed. There was times he was nearly stoned. People have died in the struggle. It's not gonna be easy to be a Christian in this walk, but it's something that you have to kind of really take on your heart and say, like, this is what I'm gonna do, and just try and surround yourself with the right people, and just try and surround yourself with people that are going to be beneficial towards you, even if they're not necessarily like, I don't know, even if you can't speak to them about certain situations, just kind of really even if it's people that can allow you to be taken out of certain environments. You could be with someone and just play computer, but it's just the fact that you're not going to that rave, for example. It doesn't mean that they have to be someone that's going to give you all these life lessons, or you know, it could literally be as small as, okay, why don't we just play football instead of going to you know that foot park fright night where everyone's going to be that we know is going to be the thing that, you know. It just has to be. It's just those little things, surrounding yourself with people that are gonna, you know, they're gonna intervene on Christ's behalf when you need it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because this whole started with a group of girls that spoke about this. And I would love to hear what you have to say. Do you think? I think it's a cop out to say there aren't enough role models and there's no one for me to look to. But do you think there are enough role models for young girls growing up and for young men? You know, do you think we see too much of the Nicki Minaj's? And I'm not and no insult to them at all. But do you think we see too much of those guys and, you know, the Kardashians and one in particular? You know, do you think we see too much of that and not enough of the other in order to really push people towards the right way?
Well, yeah, I do think that because being worldly is easy, if that makes sense. It's easy to not follow that narrow path. It's easy to get the attention that you want from men or from women in a way where you have to dress promiscuously. You have to show your boobs, your breasts, your bum. You have to look like a Nicki, or you have to look like a Rihanna to get some sort of attention from others. So if I'm seeing it from a girl's perspective, because nobody's really trying to reach out to certain girls and saying, you know what, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do this. You don't need to dress this way. You can still be a Christian and still be as open and, you know, have a personality and stuff. But I just think there are too many worldly role models. And I've actually started up a group chat called Women After His Own Heart, where it's like, it has a range from about 17 up until 28. And it's literally just tackling the things that we face as women in our walk with Christ. And it's really weird because it's like from 18 to about 21, their main focus is marriage, men. And that's what I've seen. And it's like, it's there. You know, you see people getting married, you're thinking, oh, I want to get married. You know, you see Kanye doing all these things for Kim, and you're just like, oh, I want a man like that, you know, and then they start, yeah.
Have you
That-
seen this?
yeah.
Have you seen that?
You know, and then they start thinking, oh, I want a man like that. Even some Christian relationships, you know, people just
I get idolized.
they're starting to, and it's like you're starting to idolize other people, and it's just like, oh gosh, that's not what the Bible's about. That's not what it's about. But it's like the world. It's easy to go with the flow of the world, and just like my brothers have said, it's good to have good counsel. Sometimes get a mentor. And it's not easy as a woman to talk about certain things because you feel like the person may judge you. You know, coming onto the show when I was thinking about body counts, I was thinking, I don't want to be talking about body counts. I was like, I don't really know what to say. And it's like sometimes people have to do things to realise that, oh, what I did was not the best thing to do. Rather than you give it to them. I'm not saying that everyone should now go out and have sex and then realise for themselves that, oh, it's not
I
the
shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I'm not saying to do that, but sometimes you can't stop people until they get themselves in the pit and they're just like, maybe I should have listened. But I think that's why we're here. So nobody gets themselves in a pit.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's people like Deborah, there's people like Lydia, there's people like Hannah in the Bible. But if you're not searching for these role models, you're not going to find them.
Yes.
The issue is, well, I want to ask you one thing. What is that pit? I think we'll talk about that pit in a second. But secondly, I want to ask you, the people, they think that the Bible's on boring, old, long book.
They really do think that.
But really and truly, if you really see, the reason why, when I started reading the Bible, it was David. That was everything I wanted to be. You know what I mean? He was good with words, he was good with music, he played
Dance.
music, you know what I mean? He could
Everything.
dance, he could, you know what I mean?
Man of many talents.
He was
Yeah,
strong.
he could do something. He was strong. He was. He's the same guy that was writing, what's that?
Psalms.
Right, all these psalms.
They were
and these-
soft.
You know what I mean? Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Bless His holy name. You know what I mean? But the same guy that's going out there and killing
Killing
you know what I
everyone.
mean?
Yeah.
So this
Liar.
guy seems so well rounded for me, and I realized, hold on a minute, this guy is just the perfect guy in this society too. You know, but I think people, I don't know if it's the church, I don't know if it's people that, I don't know what it is, but people seem to think that it's an exclusive book, and actually it's meant to be for your daily life, and there's
100%.
somebody like you in that Bible. There's someone you can look up to in that Bible. I'm sure we all have the people that, you know, we've seen. I know Mesh has got his own. I know you're David kind of guy as well, right?
David kind of guy.
Subtext, indirect.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. I think I've always said it. Like, well, not always said it, but always had this notion that the Bible is the best novel, it's the best Netflix episode, it's the best series in the world because it's got literally what has so much in one thing. You know, it has something for everyone. It has, you know, so many different avenues, and ultimately it has people that have been great men of God that have had weaknesses that, you know, that have been there for everyone to see. Like as you said with David, for example, David was all of those things, but his weakness was women, and that was something that ultimately became like his demise. You've got to understand, this is a guy that slayed countries. This is a guy that wrote countless songs, and you know, someone that killed Goliath, someone that, you know, that created a new a dynasty. You know, they said that they wanted a king in Israel. Saul came and was awful. Then David came and just revived all of that, you know, made them a great nation. He's a great person, but he still had weaknesses. And I think what, you know, and even for me in terms of like personal experiences, I know that, you know, there was, even for a long time, like my weakness, for example, was like women and stuff, and I embraced the fact that I felt like, you know, being I could be with this woman, I could be with that woman, and it was something to be boastful about or proud of, not knowing that really it was a weakness. Like really it was something that wasn't edifying me, because what happened, even like as it happened, when you got to a stage when you were a little bit older and maybe you wanted to actually go into relationships and things like that, you may even hide it, or you may say, and it flips around and you start to think, whoa, like, you know, somebody that you actually could care about may look at you and think, is that what you did? And like, and it's like, you know, and one thing I would want anyone to take from this is that, because I went through this, I went through that part boasting about it, and I went through a point feeling a bit bad or ashamed about it, but then that never really cured the problem. That never actually stopped me, really. It just made me feel like, let me lie, or let me do things in a secret place, you know, let me not actually address the issue or address the problem. And that's what David did, and ultimately that was to his demise. There's so many there was such a generational curse that came from David's weakness, in a sense. But I think what's important to understand is that it's not, this isn't about, you know, obviously speaking on behalf of everyone. I don't think this is to make somebody feel ashamed, or it's not about, you know, people feeling like because their body count is high or low, or their body count is taking them to various places within life. You know, there's people that, you know, God forbid, they could have got HIV because of it, or, you know, or various kind of sexually transmitted diseases. But it's not about, you know, and even in a church, shunning them or making them feel negative about themselves.
Some churches do that.
Yeah,
you know,
and this is what I think, even if you look in, I think it's Isaiah 54. I think it's Isaiah 54, I think from verse 4, and it starts to say things like, you know, this is not kind of to humiliate you, in a sense. This is this is to kind of make you understand that you have a new husband in God, if that makes sense. And God and the Lord is your basically your salvation, or is the person that you're supposed to lean on when you feel insecure about these things, or when, you know, there's society constraints that are making you, you know, think that am I good enough to not be in this cycle, or am I good enough to not be somebody's wife, or should I just do this to get attention, because I'm not going to get attention if everybody just looks at me, if that makes sense. And that's why Christ is so important, and that's why Christ is such an amazing revelation within anybody's life, because it brings, it can bring these things to light, but not in a way to condemn you. It's in a way to save you. And that's what, as long as you really home in on that and you understand that, you know what, this is to save. So your body counts high, your body counts low, and ultimately this is by no means saying do your thing and then just come to Christ. It's more just a case of saying, and I think with this, it's not what you've done. It's like, it's your heart today. Where are you going now? What do you think? Okay, you've done this. Everybody has their own path or their own journey to coming into Christ. But where are you now? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do from here? And that's why, you know, in Him you're a new creature. Like, you know, in Him that resets, in a sense of not resetting in a sense of it's not in a sense that it's reset as in everything's cool, I can do my thing. But what resets is the fact that, I've made my mistakes, I've done my wrongs, God, you know my heart, but this is what I'm going to do from now, and this is what I'm going to do in you. And that's the most powerful thing that can ever happen, really. You can just be a testimony to somebody else.
Definitely. Like I remember I had that exact same mindset. It was real in my head. It was like written down. You have one main girl and you have all these other girls that you're allowed to have. As long as you're okay with the main one, do you know what I mean? As long as you look after the main one, you know? But then that hit, after obviously I was saved and that, then after I just realized, hold on a minute, I'm messing around with God's daughters here, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm just messing, what? God is, he's amazing. He's so candid in the Bible. Like he says, I'm a jealous God, man. Look, do you know what I mean? I'm telling you the truth. I am a jealous God. Well, hold on. I am messing about with a God who has said that he's jealous. I'm messing around with his daughters. Wow. He died for these people. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah,
and like, and then it hit me. But I was gonna ask you, like, when did it hit you? Like, you know what, this isn't my lifestyle. This is what I'm doing anymore.
You know what? It's hit me so many times. I first got born again when I was 16. I wasn't really even sexually active then, but I probably have done things with guys. Because I was quite. That's one thing as well. We seem to be developed so quickly, so we attract attention from guys who are not even meant to be looking at us. So that actually gasses us. But that gasses us. It's like I was 15, but I was quite developed, for my age. But first was born again at 16, then rededicated at 18, then bang, I'm here at 24. But what made me think sex is in the way that I am doing it was actually going into the book and realizing that every single person you have had sex with, you have married them spiritually. And I just thought, that's disgusting. Like, there's people who you don't even know, if that makes sense. You don't know, but I've in the spirit realm, I've married them. So to me, it made me feel.
You mean married in that the connection, not
not marriage, like
just to elucidate that for people that
sorry. But so and I just thought that's yucky. And imagine me, it's true, but I think you have to be disgusted at sin to be like, I'm never doing that again.
God hates it.
You have to be so disgusted by it. And then I was just thinking, okay, no sex. And my mentor's my pastor. Well, my pastor's wife, she's also a pastor. And, when she's like, I'd like to mentor you, Lola. And she said to me, no sex. Don't get it wrong. I'm not there have been guys who I probably could have slept with after I've been born again. But every single time there's a situation where it gets a bit heated, all I hear is my pastor saying, Lola, no sex. And I'm out of there because I'm just thinking, I can't do that.
You just think some of these girls just need that role model sometimes.
They do. They really do. And it's like, when you know the truth about it, it's a beautiful thing in marriage. It's like, there's a time and there's a season. Like, and if you go into the Bible has so many scriptures to say that, yes, making love to your husband is a beautiful thing. But when it's outside marriage, no, my love, it's not beautiful at all. And it's like,
it doesn't glorify God.
So it's you have to be really disgusted by the sin. And then it's like, even if I'm not a person to judge, I have a baby girl, she's 4, and it's like, there's certain things that people may look at me and think, you can't talk about sex. You have a baby. You have this. And I'm thinking, I probably have had less sexual partners than you, but it's just that my sin is there for you guys to see. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's why sometimes I'm angry at the church because just because a woman is pregnant, her sin is out there to see. You now cast her down. You now make her feel that my whole life is gone. And I thought that's bad because it says in the Bible that we must obviously scold but then embrace. So you need to tell me off with love. So it's like, okay, what you did blah 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 was not good, so maybe you might have to step down for the choir, maybe you might have to step down from whatever, but do not chase them out of the church, because then where are they going? Then we're not doing what Christ has told us to do. And then there's other people who probably sin, fornicate, do whatever, but because we can't see it physically, nothing happens to them. So that's one thing I'm quite upset at some churches for.
I think my realization, like similarly as Lola said, was that when you're kind of ashamed, as you rightly said, like it gets to a point. I remember there was a time where I was kind of sexually active. It gets to a point where, as you're having conversations, even realizing and speaking to yourself in a sense. I know it sounds sad, but you gotta sometimes reflect and talk to yourself, and it's just like you're disgusted at kind of what you were doing before, and like you're ashamed to tell people kind of what you're going to do. But what I did want to say is that it is an ongoing thing, that like it's not going to be easy, and it's not like something that once you've realized it you will now never delve back into it, because I mean what human beings, for instance, we have these desires, and it won't be easy. Like they said, like sometimes we fall short of His glory. I mean, so it's like it's an ongoing battle, it's an ongoing thing, and it's not like once you realize it that it's completely out of the way. And also with the kind of positive role models kind of point. It was just like
me.
definitely actually as well. Like honestly, no, brother Frank, like positive role models. It's just like I think with kind of the generation of now, it's like, do we go out and look for these positive role models? They are out there. Like we can seek and we can speak to many people, but who how many of us actually want to go and do that?
Yeah.
How many? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do we want to actually go out and seek advice and counsel from these people? Because like again, it's brave to go and do that. You have to have confidence in yourself and want to actually change in order for you to go out there and do what's right. But because of the society that we're in, it's as you rightfully said, easy just to do the wrong things. It's easy to go and be lustful. It's easy to go and do just to go and be bad or sexually active. So
a good point. I think where it starts, I think for me, and again, you have to be careful with this because sometimes you lead yourself into like self-righteousness, but sometimes you need to actually attain an image in your mind where you want to be. Like you said, do young people actually want to go out there and find these role models, you know? Because, you know, I wanted to. Do you know, I want to be better than I am, man. I want to get better than I am. It's possible to do it, you know? So I think, like, you know, for young people that might be listening or you know, ourselves or whoever it is that's listening, actually, what is your standard? You know, what is it that you put, what do you align that, for example, like, I remember when I was growing up, I started rapping. I was 16. I was probably one of the best rappers.
Frank White.
In the people that listen to my college might go, "What? He was anything." But like, do you know what I mean? In my school, and I was quite good. Do you know what I mean? But I remember like thinking to myself, I remember watching Joel Santana. He's made a song with Cameron called not Old Boy, one of those songs anyway. And he was 18.
Hey Ma.
I
know which one.
I want to live a
Crazy life.
Do you know what I mean? So
Know
I
what the
remember
ladies like.
The ladies like.
Okay.
I remember thinking to myself, hold on a minute. I'm 16. This guy's made at 18. I'm going to make it at 18.
Yeah.
And he became my standard. Do you know what I mean? The same way as I did that in the world, now I can have a standard. And obviously all of a standard now is to Christ Jesus. Do you know what I mean? But what is your standard as a young person? What do you align yourself with when you look at yourself? What is the barometer there? Do you know what I mean? I think we need to ask ourselves those questions and like, how do we do it now? Like, what are the practical steps you actually take?
Can I?
Yeah, of course.
So I feel like, you know what, it's actually quite good that you have a standard. I don't have someone that I look up to and I want to be like, if that makes sense. Even though there's lovely, beautiful women of God around me, I don't actually look at any of them and think I want to be like you, if that makes sense. Maybe I might need to, or maybe it should be a standard where I'm setting, but I just feel like on this journey that I've took myself, I'm finding my identity through Christ.
Through Christ Jesus.
And it's like, what I've realized is all the attributes that he has given me before I understood who he was is what my identity is. If that makes sense. So it's like God has given me a very bubbly, chatty personality, if that makes sense. So when I think my identity in Christ and where I'm trying to get to is, okay, evangelist, something like that. So then if I think, okay, let me try and put that to someone in the Bible, I'd think leader, woman, Deborah. There you go. But I haven't actually done that, so thank you for that. But there's actually no one.
One thing I would say is, you kind of alluded to it, to be honest. Sometimes your role model doesn't necessarily even have to be a person, a man, a thing. You've got the Bible there that has so many role models and so many people that can be a role model for various things. If your role model is adversity, for example, you could look at someone like Job and say like throughout
seasons as well.
seasons, or you look at Job or you look at Joseph, that through adversities Joseph was still kind of excellent at whatever he done, even though he was in prison for something he didn't do for 18 years. He still maintained a standard or a certain level of faith in Christ that was unrivaled at that time. Someone like, if you look at Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and Daniel, in spite of afflictions, in spite of and that is what you call going against the grain. You've got if you worship God, you're dead. Like, you know,
Furnace was hot, boy.
that, you know, if you worship God, you're dead.
They're fairy tales.
Yeah,
they're not.
fairy tales, and sometimes, and like, even if they, and they're not, but even if they were, how many fairy tales do we look at and say, wow, I would want to be like? How many times do we idolize James Bond or Superman or Batman
Disney
or even,
princesses.
and let's be honest, even a Nicki Minaj or a Kanye and a thing that are constructing their image as they go on. You know, I've been in the music industry. Perception is key. Some people I know some people that I was working with, and to everyone else involved, they're rich, they got money, they got thing, and they're struggling behind closed doors. But the perception, no one would ever know that. Do you know what I mean? No one would ever realize. So in a way, sometimes they're fairy tales in themselves. Even, let's be honest, even our pastors and pastors that people don't know, you don't know what their struggles are, you know. But what you have to do is just try and give reference to God in what you do, and try and make, try and just make Christ at the center. And if you have role models that you can cling on, it's a definitely a bonus. But don't even look at it as, don't just look at the fact if you haven't. It's almost an excuse to say, oh, I don't have anyone that I can look up to. It's a case of, you have the Bible, you have words, you have sound words, that are like, that's almost it's a bulletproof way of conducting yourself that is gonna work.
You don't even have to go and pick up the Bible. There's audio books, there's
audio,
sermons from real sound men of God and women of God as well.
Yeah.
You know, so, do you know, I remember I used to Bible movies. Do you know what I mean? Because after I couldn't sit down and read for a while. Cause in the beginning I used to be like, okay, like especially if you pick up Leviticus and just like, okay, that's your uncle, alright, fair. You know what I mean? But like, Bible movies, like, and getting, there's so much out there,
But now there's actually social network. That's one thing that I think is actually really good. And it's like, forget this whole worldly thing of being a beg. If you see someone that is doing something great, tag along. Get on that train. Take the journey with them, because like even through that, there's people that I already had on my group chat, and there's people who be like, Lola, I just saw your post on this group chat. I want to join, and I'm thinking, yeah, of course, why not? And it's like, right now I love social network, even though some of the things in there is just completely ugh. But then there's people who are there who are doing things for God, and it's just like, I met you through social network. Do you understand? Like a mighty man of God, and I probably will meet. Other women of God, through social network, and it's all there for our disposal. It's actually all there for us, but we need to go and apply.
I think the good thing about things like social network, music, acting, dramas, I think even though there's a lot of aspects that have been used for bad, God ultimately has created it for good. That's what I think. It's something that's created for good. It's something that we can use for good. And it's probably a completely different topic when you go, you could delve into. But I don't think everyone should label, social media or social network as something that can't be negative. It's how you use it, and you can use it to edify God. You can use, 100%. I use music now to edify God. You can use social media to edify God. You can use dramas, and these things can touch people as well.
They do.
And they can be the role models that you needed. How many people's role models was someone from Boys in the Hood or something, or Tony Montana, or all these paid in full, all these gangbangers that made them their role models because it was something that they aspired to. We just have to aspire to be Christ-like, and that's the ultimate aim, and that's the ultimate goal. And we're gonna fall short. It said the righteous man will fall 7 times and get up, or 7 times, and but it's all about how you respond to it, and what where you want to go, and if you aspire to that, and you really lean on God and lean on Christ to get you there, then that's ultimately the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, like I will, as we bring it to a close, I just want everyone that is listening or watching or whatever, I just feel like telling you that, you wouldn't let a man rob your phone. You wouldn't let a man rob your house. You wouldn't let a man rob so many things. Don't let him rob your soul. You know, don't get involved in something that is going to steal something that is so great, which lasts forever from you. You know, I know these mistakes, you know, they are rectified through Christ Jesus, but there's going to be a generation of people who's going to be too late for.
Yeah.
Who's going to come back. You know, it could be this generation. You know, you might not get the chance that your older brother got, that, you know, he shot 10 men and then after that he's been saved. You're not gonna get, we can't live off that person's testimony.
Yeah.
You know, we just can't live off that. We've got to live by the standard in the word. And I believe that that's the word that we should live by.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you very much for the guys that got involved today. Absolutely amazing. And thank you guys for watching. And I hope you get involved in the Twitter that you will see coming on the screen right now. Gloria is now going to take us off with All I Have to Give. She's going to perform something absolutely amazing. And I pray you enjoy it. And we see you in the next episode. God bless.
Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah. Lord, if I could buy you a gift to show you my love, show you how I feel, it doesn't matter what I'll have to give, 'cause I'll find a way to get it for you. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We both know I don't have bank anyway, but I won't let it affect my presentation of you, 'cause this is what I bring. Here is my heart, my mind. Lord, here's my life, my everything. Take it, it's yours, oh Lord. I'll give you my all, my everything. Every song that I write, every song that I sing, every day of my life, every breath that I breathe is you, Lord. I rededicate it right back to you, love of my life. So faithful, so true. I give you all, I give you all, my Lord. Here is my heart, my mind. Lord, here's my life, my everything. Take it, it's yours, oh Lord. Here is my heart, my mind. Lord, here's my life, my everything. Take it, it's yours, oh Lord. Hey, it's yours, yours, oh Lord. I give it to you. Here is my heart, my mind. Lord, here's my life, my everything.